We switched to new hard drive.
Awesome.
So,
Wait, are we recording?
yeah.
Okay.
We're back.
You're gonna get that in there then.
So we left off at scraping the knuckles.
Yes.
That's more a top roll, and that's kind of like my own, that's my verbiage. That's like what I kind of call it. Flashing would be just bringing somebody straight to the pad. In a hook, boom, flashed. That would be just going right through somebody and putting them right to the pad. Either they just simply shouldn't have been at the table with you, or what you did was exactly it was the opposite of what they thought you were going to do. Like, prime example is if I were to go up to the table, everybody's going to go, okay, it's Balboni, he's going to top roll. And I went into an immediate hook, I could probably surprise some people. Top roller. And I'm not saying that you are more of a man because you're a hook puller, and I know that this is one of those things. It's like the strength thing. But Hermes Gasparini says it actually perfectly. Top roll is smarter. It's a smarter move. It's safer. You're not putting yourself into that arm break position.
Well, you got the fucking high ground, Kenobi. It's literally, it does translate to that. You have a height advantage. And
Yeah.
Well, it's more leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. The technique, though, when you pull in a top roll, because your arm's like this, and you're pulling towards your body, that's safe. Yeah. When you're hook, you're actually you can turn it more into like a press, or you're pushing.
But your bones are twisted.
Yeah. So in other words, you're putting a whole lot more strain on your radius, your ulna, your tendons, and your humerus going like this.
Yeah.
Because it's more focused in that area.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, when you're pulling towards. So basically, what I'm saying is that arm break position in which I'm talking about is, imagine if you're like this and you're pulling. Is if somebody goes this way, what way is your arm going?
Ouch!
The
From
exact
away,
not the way
direction you want it to be going.
An unnatural way.
When you're in a top roll, it's your arm is coming towards your face, and everything is ergonomic. You have your hand straight like this. When you start, as you top roll and you take the wrist, as you drop under the table and get closer to the pad, you pronate. Everything is more ergonomic when you top roll, and I'm not.
Do you often see, or do you ever see, like, strength beat what the fuck was I just gonna say? Do you ever see anybody technique beat strength, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, table IQ. Yeah.
Underdogs.
Yeah, underdogs, or let's say somebody is really, really, really strong, and you can't push through them. You can't pull through them. Then it turns into a war of attrition, and you're quite literally looking to put your hand or your hand in a better position than theirs, and you're waiting for them to either make a mistake or fatigue to the point that you can exact what you want on them and actually pull through their arm.
That must require quite a bit of concentration then.
You gotta,
Yeah.
You gotta find the angle, or like I said earlier, the vector. Patience. I'm not very patient.
I was just gonna say, like, the things I don't have.
Do you ever get anybody in a position like where you're comfortable and they're just on the attack and you're tiring them out, like making them just exhaust themselves out and then just take it over?
Yeah.
Flash.
So I am a wrist wrestler.
Okay.
I'm all hand. Anybody who has pulled me, like, they would say, yeah, he's all hand. Yeah, sure, I got a strong arm, strong bicep, but I would say that my hand and forearm is stronger than my bicep. It's kind of the opposite of a lot of people.
Well, your hand is fucking huge.
Yeah, it is. But it's one of those things that my hand would get in front of my arm instead of my arm getting in front of my hand.
Okay.
But now, 3 years later, I now open up and get in ahead of myself.
Ah.
So, in other words, my arm is finally starting to keep up with my hand, or it's getting to that point where there's starting to be cohesion, connection. If that makes sense? Yeah, best way to describe it.
So, like, at the very top of arm wrestling, like, all the people that are the best at it, do you see a mix of people that are hand and arm? Or is there one more than the other?
Is it all one kind of wrestler?
Yeah.
No. In order to be on the top, you must be well-rounded. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But prime example is Jerry Cataret. Earlier, he had a match. Congratulations, by the way, Jerry. Awesome. That's so sick.
Where was that? Where
that was in Turkey, at East Meets West 4.
Did you say Turkey?
Yeah, Turkey. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
wow.
in Turkey right now.
And where's he from?
Rehoboth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he's local. It, and it is his.
So by
if
your
he took
hand
that
motion.
from someone, if he took that from someone, then it is his. That
So
guy
he's the
no longer
pioneer.
exists.
So what is it called? It's called
The flop wrist press.
flop wrist press. So is
Yeah.
that him like catching?
In
go
a way,
ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
In
go
a
ahead.
way, yeah. But it's more a baiting for him.
Yeah.
Because that is a knack. So
So he's looking like a weak wrist for them to attack, and then he's.
I am not conflating myself with Jerry Cataret or my experience level
whatever.
whatsoever. But
Whatever.
what I'm saying is this: is if I were to be the top roll guy,
Mm-hmm.
I would top roll Jerry. But little do I know, Jerry already wants me to top roll him almost.
Yeah.
Because his flop rest press is so deadly that the moment he ends up in that space and I think I'm good, he's literally just gonna go.
Palming.
Yeah, he's just gonna turn his shoulder inside, and just push my arm right to the pad. That's
wow.
the flop wrist press.
Interesting.
And it's a super unique attack that he does, and he's like built for it. It's awesome.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
If one day, like way down the road, maybe I'll have the integrity about my elbow and you know what I mean, an arm to do what he does. But I can tell you straight up, if I tried to do that, I'd hurt myself.
No shit.
The man is gifted.
How long has he been doing it?
Oh, I want to say that he said in an interview like 35 years.
Wow.
Maybe he's been pulling for 35 years. You know what I mean? Like that, like if he was in his 60s, he looks great for 60. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think so. I think
No,
he's
that
in
makes
his late
sense.
40s,
That-
early 50s.
yeah, that makes sense.
He's been. I want to say that he has been pulling. I want to say I watched a tournament with him in like '93.
Wow.
It was one of his first, and it was against Cleve Dean too. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Cleve
so-
Dean was like this 6'7", 600-pound guy. With, like, you think I have big hands? Oh man.
Oh my god.
His hands were like a
Monster.
sheet of paper. His hands are like, yeah, he had like 11, just shy of 11-inch hands, like 10 and 3/4 inch hands.
Wow.
From here to there, like
Oh.
basically like that big. Like his hands were massive. Might as well have been not a basketball player, but like if he were a skinny man, he would have had excellent genes to be in football or whatever. But no, he's a pig farmer.
Wow.
That's what he was. He was a pig farmer. He actually won World's Strongest Man.
Tough farm, dude.
Imagine,
oh, really?
Yeah. So you're looking at a 6'7", like 500-pound, like
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna say it, but I don't mean to be insulting, fat man.
Yeah.
But you want to see an absolute. He was the personification of farm boy strength.
Wow.
Of farm boy. That's the best way to describe Cleve Dean.
No kidding.
He was just farmer strength personified. Best way to describe it. One world's strongest, like a. Like, you wouldn't expect that from that guy. You'd expect an arm wrestler.
Yeah.
Or a pig farmer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's awesome
yeah.
though. He passed though. That's another great that has passed. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. man.
Cleve Dean.
How long ago did he pass? Do you know?
I want to say 2009.
Oh,
Could have
really?
been 12. So he did make it a long time. I want to say he was just shy of 70.
Oh,
and
wow.
for a guy that big, you know what I mean? He did pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a good run.
Well, dude,
You know?
we were talking about that earlier. You know, the 10s, the bigger they are, the earlier their lifespan. And we were talking about Bill Russell because he just passed away at 88, which is fucking crazy. Like that dude is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're always gonna have outliers, I suppose.
Yeah. I definitely.
I don't even know how clear the science is on.
That. Like you said, with the blood flow and whatnot, that toxins, cholesterol, all that stuff is going to accumulate and reduce that even more. And I think that's one of the reasons for the heart weakening. You know what I mean? Like the heart valve weakening and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I think there's something to say about the wear and tear that your body takes when you're larger, or a person who does do physical things all their life.
Yeah, especially at an athlete, someone of that size.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
They take care of themselves, but you can't. Yeah, that's a lot of wear and tear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? Bill Russell too, considering how many rings, he probably had the money to live a great life as well
yeah.
too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
A beautiful life, all the good food,
Yeah, definitely.
He could get away with it.
The best of anything,
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. I think he had 11 rings. I think.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that.
Wow.
I think it is.
Was it 11 or 13?
He's before them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
These guys, he was before these guys. You got Larry Bird, 32.
Yep.
What's his face?
Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish,
and Magic Johnson. I want to say, right? Wasn't Magic Johnson?
Not on their team, no.
Why? How come I've seen pictures?
Well,
of
he's
him?
out. He's a Lakers. He's always been a Laker.
Yeah, but he was with them in multiple pictures.
Dream Team, the USA Dream Team.
See,
yeah.
I'm not a basketball player.
No, whatever. Yeah.
These are these pictures in which I've seen, but but prime example is he was around before them.
Yeah.
And he was basically the start of those dynasties. I want to say didn't Bill Russell play for like 20 years? How long did that dude play?
I think something like that.
That guy, so right then and there,
Started in the, I want to say he started in the 60s. I could be wrong though. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Old.
I know he played for a long time. Him and Wilt Chamberlain went at it out of his hands and like picking each other up. And
Yeah,
shit like
I
that.
believe it.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
yeah, going for a rebound and like they're just eating each other's lunch, just trying to fucking win.
Yeah, man. Bill Russell dealt with a lot of shit living in Boston. He went through a lot of adversity here.
No doubt.
There was people like broke into his apartment or something like that and spray painted the N-word like all over the walls and shit. Yeah, like really bad shit. And yeah, he's not a big fan of like actually a fan of Boston. He kind of put all that shit behind him not that long ago when they resurrected a statue of him in the city. And he like came and he would come and visit the city and stuff, but he like refused to do certain things in Boston because of like how he was treated when he was here by fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah, it can be rough here sometimes.
Yeah, especially back then, because there were like actually race riots and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking crazy. I don't know. I'm sure there's still racism, like in Mass or in Boston. I think there is everywhere you go.
Oh,
I think it's usually outnumbered. I think there's less racism in all the cities. I think that's just a small group of fucking ignorant pricks. But yeah, no, it definitely still exists. I know in Boston, at least like in the punk and hardcore scene, man, like that shit doesn't fly. Fucking show up like sporting a SWAT sticker or whatever. You'll end up leaving in a stretcher.
Oh, of course.
No doubt.
Yeah. It's happened many times.
New York, it's worse, I think.
As in, like, what way?
In the city.
Yeah.
Just like riding a bike through the city with my buddy. And he's Hispanic. And some guy, we were just riding a bike across the street.
Oh, like he dealt with like
in the
racism
city.
and shit over there?
Yeah, and the guy driving by is like, effing N-word, and like...
Get the fuck out of here,
and
really?
I'm thinking to myself, he's not even black, but that's not the point. Like, how ignorant do you have to be? You're not even doing racism right.
You're not even good at this.
You're not even good at racism.
Yeah.
Just stop. Like I said, that's besides the point. It's just...
it does. It kind of shows like how ignorant that person is.
I'm not,
I can't even get his like race slanders right.
Yeah, I think
Fucking
maybe
idiot.
based
You
on
see the commercial the other day? It was like tap water, like straight up, just advertising a dude just drinking tap water.
Yeah.
Really?
That sounds good.
Was it Flint? Yeah.
And I don't know. I forget the details of it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the tap water, dude. Maybe it's fucking making people in the cities dumber. You never know. Mine tasted like shit for a couple months. I'll tell
I
you.
don't doubt it.
Apparently, the tap water where I live is supposedly good.
Yeah.
I don't drink it, but
Tap water and Hanson used
Probably
to be
should.
pretty good.
I
No,
don't
I don't
drink
trust any tap water.
I don't
now,
either.
no. I got well water where I am now, but I don't even trust that.
Yeah.
We have a filtration system and like potted, the potted water, so we use a separate faucet for it. But
it's like a
usually,
Brita?
yeah,
One of those type of
well,
things?
there's like a $4,000 filtration system in there.
Whoa.
Yeah, it got put in like a year and a half ago, so it's really good to have. Not mine. I don't own the house, and I'm probably gonna have to fucking move soon. But I love where we are, right on a lake and a cool little. It would be a fixer. It'd be a nice fixer-upper, Whatever. That's a whole nother thing. It would be cool to keep it and be able to make it into our own, so Kelly and I can raise Vivian in like a nice home on the lake. But we'll enjoy it for however long we have it.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to pull together and buy land and build a commune.
That would be ideal, man. Chris, fucking, you've been out looking for land in Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah. New Hampshire primarily, around Laconia area.
Right on.
You don't want to be. I don't care. I'm gonna. You know what? It's happening. If you're in southern New Hampshire, you're pretty much in a complete bastion of just. Okay, it's like going to P-Town. How's that?
Okay.
Alright.
What do you mean? Like
All right.
a lot of gay people?
Well, not even necessarily that. It's just like it's a liberal bastion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Southern New Hampshire. That's where they seem to reside. Go from Massachusetts, and it's kind of crazy too because what I've been hearing is whenever I go up there and I'm talking to the people, they want to get a feel for who they're talking to, so they see me come up there, right? And they're like, "Oh, Massachusetts." You know what I mean? I'm kidding. I'm just being a Southern with it. I'm playing like it's a gag, whatever. So when I go up there,
Are you saying that there's a very big woke culture up there?
yes, in southern New Hampshire. When I go up there, I am not cross-examined, but they want to know what my intentions are. And one of the things that I found is all
Those
these
are
people
fucking
that
good.
are kind of escaping to these freedom states, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From these places like Massachusetts or California. That's even worse. New York, you mentioned that as
Steal a
well.
couple more of those?
I've noticed
I
that,
won't
that
even-
what they all say is they
California.
want to know what my intentions are. They want to know what your intentions are because people go out there and they act. They want to leave this state. They want to leave California, but they bring California, New York, and Massachusetts to
With
New
them.
Hampshire. They bring
Yeah.
it with them because what they kind of do is that's not the way it works. And well, that's not the way we do it in New York. You're not in New York. You just moved to New Hampshire. Why are you bringing that there?
It's not
You're
the same
trying to
place.
get away,
No.
but you're bringing that which you're trying to get away from. You are bringing there and ruining for yourself, and that's
And
kind
for
of
other people.
yeah. It's
I heard they
nuts.
did that to Tennessee recently.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
Yeah, Tennessee. was-
R.I.P. Chattanooga, Nashville is just as expensive as us now.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I went down there for the for that total eclipse there a few years back.
Yeah, still a nice.
Rain. In Nashville, Chattanooga, same thing. Like
A lot
just
of
so many-
music. It's
Yeah,
overwhelming.
yeah. Like it
music
seemed like a
down there.
very booming place, you know, and that is your outcome though as things progress and people start to learn more and more about like this opportunity that is Nashville or Chattanooga, South Dakota. That's another one for the fracking industry. Is or North Dakota, whatever. It doesn't matter. The Dakotas.
The Dakotas
Yeah,
period,
the
yeah.
Dakotas. Once people find out that there is an industry there, it's unfortunate, but it's going to bring every type of crowd. At first, it's people that are ambitious and are going to try to get a real job and, you know, further their lives and do better for themselves. But it's
And mind their business.
yeah, but the more money is in a place, the more you're going to see of every demographic, not a demographic, every type of person.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And some of them are not exactly savory.
Yeah,
So, and as time goes on, more and more of those unsavory come in because they see it as
Montana. You'd be coming up to it, and it'd be like Mad Max, and then like all of a sudden, boom, city. Like you could take like the middle of Boston and cookie cutter it, and it's Billings, Montana. And you leave it, and it's the same goddamn thing. It's just back to flat. Everything's all desert out there. It's beautiful. Plenty of room.
I like trees.
Not a lot of trees. It's trees, but I mean, they gotta have a chance to grow.
I do want to fucking
Gotta
go
cut
kick
'em
it
down
in the
from
desert.
somewhere.
I would love to go to the desert.
something tells me sunrise,
Hang out.
sunsets are probably beautiful out there.
I
Yeah,
lived out by
sunrises
Mount
and
Rainier. Tacoma, still on par with Massachusetts and California and New York, and now Tennessee. You know,
No shit.
Yeah.
Southern New Hampshire. I started seeing that shit like when I started going up there because I was going up there enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they genuinely like look down on Massachusetts. Going up and getting sober programs up there in Massachusetts. They'd be like, "Oh, you're mass sober." And that's the first time I heard that. Because they get sober up there off drugs, and then they legalize pot in Massachusetts. It's medicinal, so you go fucking smoke pot.
That's kind of funny.
That disqualifies me from being a sponsor in AA, and
Right.
I'm okay with that
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
because it's a fucking sham anyway. All the proceeds go to his mistress.
They do that start at AA. Oh, really?
One of the two dudes, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's
The
awful.
American Heart Association, the first $700,000 filled the salary of Mary, some Irish last name, but but she's the sitting CEO of the American Heart Association. $700,000.
Wow. Oof. Wow.
Think about that when you donate.
Yeah. Fucking A, man. Speaking of land, you backpacked through Japan.
Yeah.
Not
I
that
did my
long
fair
ago.
share of walking around that country. Yeah.
How long ago was that now? 6?
Probably
5?
closer to 10.
Oh, wow.
It was
Wow.
like 10 years ago. Yeah.
So we were in Japan around the same time. Like,
yeah. I want to say that I was 28 when I did that. Yeah, I was 28. And that was really cool.
Oh, no, I
mean,
was like 12.
I'm pretty
12
jealous.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what was that experience like?
Oh, well, it was totally. Oh, well, I know that they don't like backpackers.
Really?
No. But I didn't really look the part. I was, you know what I mean. I was well dressed. I had my bag. Don't get me wrong. But you wouldn't expect me to be that like a backpacker and whatnot. But yeah, I would.
I would expect that you're like a Viking coming to take my house.
It wasn't anything like. It was one of those things where I went there primarily, you know why I did, but I ended up seeing like castles and like great architecture and stuff like that. And I'll tell you one thing, you want to talk about woodworking? There are shrines there and temples that you can't even see the seam. You can't even see the seam of how the wood's held together. They didn't use nails. There's no peg. They didn't do anything like that. It's this crazy seam that they put together, and like when they put this side in and slide that one in, gravity holds the whole thing together.
And these places are like off the beaten path, kind of.
So, yes, yeah, some of them were,
Some of them.
sure, but a lot of them were just, not like tourist traps, but like they were just, they were just a shrine.
Yeah, I definitely saw some of that stuff over there.
It's a shrine, and like it's something that like it's crazy here. Like we have giant cathedrals, but we don't have anything like Notre Dame, like nothing like that. You know?
Yeah.
But when you go out there,
Notre Dame
their
doesn't have Notre Dame
shrines-
anymore.
Yeah. But that's going to take until 2032 to rebuild.
Is that
if
what
it
they're
even
saying?
does. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is the architecture back then, they haven't done that ever since like
They built it.
18 or 17 XX or something like that.
No
Like
kidding.
houses used to have big.
Please.
Definitely.
There's
that
a
topic
guy
is
who does
fascinating.
like 3 hours at a time out there. He's actually from Western Mass. He's a good shit. But yeah, World's Fair is a hot, amazing. Like
It's wild.
once you look at it, it's like where'd it go?
Yeah.
That is
exactly.
absolutely the destruction of a previous civilization or some epoch in time that they don't want us to know about.
I don't blame you for being convinced of that, dude.
'Cause
Yeah, that's
there's no explanation for a 600-acre city to be planned, leveled, surveyed, and erected for a weekend outing for your family to see some cool tech.
and
to
then
see
destroyed.
some racially biased shit.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no
And then set on
reason-
fire.
Yeah. And then they say that they built this as temporary. No, you do not build a giant 1,000,000 square foot marble building for a weekend getaway for your kids to see a car.
Yeah.
Because cars were new back then. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and even too, the World's Fair Brazil. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever looked into that one?
I have, yeah.
not
yeah.
particularly in Brazil.
It's
but
not
that
even
sounds
near.
interesting.
It's not even near Rio. This thing was out in the middle of nowhere. It's this absolutely
Amazing.
monstrous city complex
Yeah.
of these beautiful buildings that we could not replicate.
Yeah.
Yep, just in the middle of Brazil, out in the woods somewhere. Actually, it was more on the coast, but either way, you don't, especially not Brazil, back in the late 1800s, they wouldn't build anything like that. They wouldn't have done that.
In
you
the
know?
middle of the rainforest or some shit. You know?
And also, too, how are you going to get there? A wagon? A horse-drawn wagon? A
No.
buggy? Where are your roads? How are you getting those stones there? Where are your roads?
Well, I'm waiting for you to tell us and show us how you levitate. So
I levitate?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the reveal.
No, those are vegan powers.
I just made the table levitate.
So one of the big things about that whole thing about the World's Fair is if somebody can explain to me this one thing, why you would build these incredible cityscapes and these structures and not have one paved road. Look at those images.
There were no roads. It was all mud and shit and swamp. Yeah.
So how exactly do you get a 100-ton stone into position in the mud?
Like
with
100,000 idiots.
Yep.
Unless there was a time when they were really evolved.
So
and they had roads.
Are you referring to like San Francisco or the West Coast, like Gold Rush? Because that's the thing with the San Francisco World's Fair.
Yeah.
The manpower was there?
No, not
wasn't
at all.
there.
That was one of the ones that caught fire.
The population,
Yeah.
simply put, would not have supported that big of construction when you're talking about a place that doesn't even have roads.
Have you thought
We
about...
we were frontiering
Yeah.
out there.
We were bringing
what I
our
mean?
shit. And there was supposedly shit there on the way, too. There were supposedly buildings where the windows were just...
Brian, I was just about to say that. You want to know what the gold rush is to me? I'm just some fucking guy from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But I believe the gold rush to me was come out here and get your gold because there's shit for the taking out here.
It was
rich
found.
people went, it was discovered, it was uncovered. And rich people went out there and went, oh, wow, this is like Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you look at the remains of Salt Lake City, you can bring up pictures right now. There are cities near Salt Lake City that were just raised. There are images of those cities, like illustrations, and that looks like a totally modern city. It looks like London or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just razed them, destroyed the whole city.
Yeah.
Same thing with all these World's Fairs.
Yep.
Why are we... So... today, right?
It's fucking wild.
Yeah,
man.
today we
That
have
whole
these
thing
housing
is-
issues, right? We're always building houses. I'm sure it was the same back then when you were in the middle of a gold rush. So you had an influx of people that was so fast that they were living in tents.
Yeah.
There were tent and shanty housing going up. Why are you going to blow down this giant million square foot marble building when there are people that are like dying from exposure outside?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's look at some of these images. It's absolutely insane from Salt Lake City. Like
There's a big one right there.
this is remnants of Salt Lake City. There are actually some talks, and I don't want to go nuts, and I don't want to go down the web as far as this goes, but we're already kind of down at talking about the World's Fairs and this, but
That's interesting.
yeah,
Super interesting,
it's
man.
crazy.
Do you think in some of these regions there, we're already like an abundance of material to be of use, rather than having to build roads?
X number of million bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get the bricks?
The only thing I can
That's
think
insane.
of. The only thing I can
you don't
think
even
of.
have a paved road. You're going to
There's
tell
no
me you had 6
explanation.
million bricks?
The only thing I can think of is if they were more civilized longer ago than we even understand. Like, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's in the United States, though.
Right. Yeah.
The
Right.
New world.
The settling
Yeah.
place of the fucking crazy white ruthless.
I mean, if they put so
holidays.
much work into constructing buildings, maybe they put that much work into making the roads to get there. I don't know. Like, it's just.
Well, where are they then?
Right.
I know that there's been several.
They destroyed the
mud
buildings.
floods.
I don't know how you destroy roads like that. I mean, I guess I don't know, man.
I know that there's been several mud floods that may have covered up the roads,
Mhm.
and I also know that many cities across this country there are still occupied current buildings that have sub basements.
Mhm.
It's not a sub basement; it's actually where that mud covered and completely filled in, almost like Pompeii, but not ash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So imagine if mud just spilled through
earth.
your city. You know what I mean? Your whole city, and let's say you have 5 to 7 story brick buildings, because that's it. That's what you got.
Like
because
a landslide.
That's how tall they would go.
And
So now you have a 4 to 5 story building, because it's that first floor is covered in mud. What I'm basically saying is oftentimes we build upon previous civilizations. We just bury. Because we know that, and it isn't to delete, I don't think. It's because we know that that is sound earth that will support our new home.
Like it's logical.
This
I got you.
This other building was here before. This is perfectly fine for what I'm going to build now. Somebody already did the work.
The Romans were a frosting on a cake. They whatever.
How do you explain that?
Underreporting.
That and people hanging on to those ideals, I guess, to this day. And you know,
A protected class, 1% that ran everything and had their way of doing what they wanted to do. I have no idea. I'm just spitballing.
No.
But they hide a lot of shit, man.
I hear what you're saying, but okay, I'm not devil's advocate.
Be the devil's advocate.
If you're saying that is the top 1% that occupied this nation while that was going on in Europe, well, then nobody had a clue this was going on other than that top 1%. And moreover, do you know how many cities there were here? That population is far more than 1%, especially if you're talking about 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Because medical increases have that the population of the planet has skyrocketed since 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally,
Absolutely.
it's like unbelievable meteoric rates of like. Like,
Couldn't the same be said for how we live now?
Yeah.
I think that is the way we live now. I believe that what we have been told and what we have been taught currently in our public schools and just in general, I do not necessarily. I think that is a narrative.
Yeah, definitely.
factory setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost like NPC jargon. Because no one knows what truly happened back then, or people do, and it is quite literally being deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can produce all these history texts.
Yeah,
that
they
we
can
take as
roll
fact.
everything.
You're just regurgitating that which you've learned.
Yeah.
And if everybody learned that, then it must be true. However, you have, I'm going to call it an OOPart, you have these extant structures, these OOParts that have no place in time. And that the setting's just not there in North America for these places to exist at the time.
Yep.
Especially when you have Native Americans running you have tribes. Yeah. You have tribes running around in North America, and then you come across these buildings. Like, what do the natives have to say about this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, all that has been all that information has been completely just taken and just covered up.
It's hard
Yeah.
to tell,
Yeah.
man. So much of our history that we do learn in school is fabricated bullshit.
It must be
biased
like,
and
I shouldn't say it must be,
the
but
victors tell the
there
story
is so
or whatever.
So
if you just through observation look at things, just look at things with your own eyes and try to think about why that exists.
Yeah.
Why is that there? And you come up with your own deduction. And typically, I'm not saying that everyone's going to be right, but if you trust your gut, seriously, you're right.
It's
a lot of the
big
time, you're right.
It's a big fucking volcano, isn't it? Like from Yellowstone out. like the radius of the volcano itself is pretty much classifying our nation as like
there's a I
As
guess
such.
there's
one of the biggest like hot pockets in like a continental plate.
What do they call it? It's not
A
it might be just a super
cell or
It's a
something like
supernova.
that.
They call it something it's underneath Yellowstone
megavolcano.
and Yosemite.
It's super
But
duper.
that thing
Yeah,
has,
I've
that
heard if that
thing should've-
erupts, that
yeah.
we're in some trouble.
that should have been erupt.
You know, for some reason.
That's your gut.
How water would work into it, I don't know. But we're in Mass and it's August and it hasn't rained in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And we
That's
kind of blew
brutal.
Jamie's red pill little mind about
other
cloud
than
seeding.
last night.
Oh,
it
yeah.
rained.
Well, that's
What'd you say?
Cloud seeding?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We red
yeah.
pilled Jamie.
Yep.
I don't know.
Jamie was our last guest. That one.
We're
that
at
was
the we're at
fantastic.
the ass end of a jet stream, man. Why isn't the rain coming to us? Is all I'm saying.
Being controlled, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, once
Uh-oh.
Salt Lake City, Utah, there used to be Great Salt Lakes there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now it's just salt flats.
Yeah.
This is that is the location of these incredibly large cities, right? So
Yeah.
what happened to those lakes? You know what I mean? Droughts. I believe that's just the cyclical nature of weather, so to speak. But I don't believe. I'm not a climate guy. I don't believe in climate hoaxes. I don't believe in that.
I believe the climate's always changing,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
that they're
yeah.
attributing the
Oops,
change
sorry,
of
guys.
the climate and how it does change to like all of these things.
Definitely.
That
Think of it on a
that
map,
we
think of
do,
it-
but the fact is, the climate has always changed.
Well, the Earth does go through
Throughout
like
the Earth.
cooling and warming phases.
Think of
Yeah.
think of it on the macro.
That's known.
Think of it as a cell. Think of the Earth as trying to shield itself from the only thing that could possibly hurt it from outside. And that would be the sun. If, you know, that kind of thing is legit and it is what it says, it's that hot,
Yeah.
has that much dominance over us.
The moon does too, though. The moon like controls a lot of what's on Earth, what's going on Earth.
Yeah.
The
Tides
gravity.
and
They talk about solar flares, and the planet tends to react when it.
I
We
know-
got rocks.
I know, and I've read of in history. Apparently, there have been 3 major ice ages, and we've lived through at least one of them. You know, we've lived through at least one. I have never heard, however, of a hot age, a melt age, a warm age.
It's been this
A
hot
heat
before.
age.
It's been this hot before.
Yeah, but
and
I've never heard of it being referred to as an extended period of time, like the space age, the atomic age. Like we have names for things. I have
Age of
never,
heat, yeah, no.
I've never heard of a thermal
That's a good point.
age.
I would.
I've never heard of that. Have you? I'm
No.
being dead
Jurassic
serious.
Age.
Like I've
the
just never
desert's
heard of-
always been hot.
Yeah.
As long as the desert's been there.
What
The
would
funny
you
thing
say-
about deserts, though, pull back,
They-
and it looks like
The sea.
you know. Think about where sand comes from.
That's how we. We got sand.
That's what
That's how we have
I
beaches.
forget the
You know,
guy's
like,
name.
I guess.
Is it Graham Hancock or
Oh
somebody?
yeah, he's all out there doing the pyramid stuff. Like
yeah,
about
but he
it
said
being a
something.
chemical plant.
Is he the guy that talked about like the patterns in the desert sand being the same as they are on the ocean floor, thus meaning that there used to be water there? Is that the guy? I know Graham Hancock's into the pyramids and shit and talking about how like they're even older than we thought and there's water erosion on them. So that sounds relative to what I'm saying. I think it might be the same guy.
Doesn't sand come from glass?
Yeah, I guess.
Where does glass
Glass
come
is
from?
made from sand.
Yeah.
So what do you mean? Like
Yes.
silica?
Yes.
Yeah.
Silica?
Glass is made from sand, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, when sand gets struck by lightning, you get those crazy, like, glass structures.
Glass. Classification, I like it.
It already was glass?
What if it was glass before it was sand? All the Sahara.
That's a trippy image.
I never thought of that.
That's a trippy image.
Because,
I'd throw rocks at it.
something so fucking hot came down and just, like, pounded on the earth and, like, it turned everything to glass, you know what I mean?
So
It broke down.
there are multiple people. You're saying this. There are multiple people. There are, once again, fringe that believe that most of our mountain ranges, most of the stone features that we see even in Massachusetts, if you look at a lot of them,
Our buildings.
they were buildings.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah.
I have heard that too.
And they were melted by some type of directed energy or this hot heat melt
Apocalypse.
age in
Yeah.
which I'm referring to. But the thing is nowhere else on the planet did they experience this other than North America. So how would we know and be able to find that out? We won't.
Right.
We
If
won't
it
be
was
able
that
to because
horrific.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever
But
see
no one was
There
here
could
to
be
see
no
it.
recollection.
No one was here to see it apparently.
Yeah.
Because this is the new world.
Did you ever see or hear, maybe this is related, I don't know, but like the Grand Canyon, like the patterns in the Grand Canyon.
Excavation?
Yes, excavation.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've also heard of the Saga, which was a race of red-haired giants that were basically occupied North America.
Yeah.
The Paiute Indians in natives in Lovelock, Nevada. They're around there. Describe them. They have oral traditions about this.
You look like Louis C.K., but huge.
Yeah. And
naked.
Well, they lived in caves.
Perpetually asking if they can jerk
And they
off in front of
always
you.
lived in caves. These people
In the
always lived in caves. That was their
Right.
thing. They lived in caves. So I'm curious if there was some type of an extinction event or an agenda that went on, like you were saying with excavation. So if you're shooting or bombarding this area, let's say you are an advanced culture.
With a pyramid.
Yeah, or
With a power
directed
device.
directed energy technologies. And you're bombarding these people that live underground. And you do it for a long time. You do it for a hot age. Yet they still persist because they're underground. What do? You destroy their
Past.
That wouldn't
the Grand
surprise
Oh
me.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, actually, yeah. There's like they have found some crazy stuff like
Yeah.
like hammers, like the wooden handle of a hammer
Yes.
embedded in stone.
Yeah, I think you and I may have touched
So
down
the
on
only way
before.
that could have happened is if that hammer is older than the stone itself, yet the handle is not petrified. I'll add, or that stone melted around it. But how do you explain how the handle's there?
Yeah. And people
Yeah.
listening,
It would've
people
melted.
listening to this right now,
Or
like,
burned.
please feel free to Google this stuff because
It's very
we-
rock and roll.
we
too.
will be
Yeah.
doing that in the near future on the show, and you'll be able to. For those who are watching, you'll be able to see it while we do it, like in real time. But yeah, take keywords out of like what's being said right now and actually Google this shit because it's out there, and you'll see some far out shit. It's wild.
Like, I'm by no means a guy that like sits in my room and studies this stuff all the time.
It's speculation.
I'll
I
leave
mean,
that up to
even
a
the
couple
scientists.
of YouTube guys.
Even the
I could
scientists
name
are
them.
speculating, though. It's all speculation.
Well, think about it. Once you have a little bit of common fucking sense, you can look out and just see
For
the
sure.
bullshit, and you can be like, "Hold on, I've gathered a couple books and got some knowledge on a subject, and it doesn't seem right." You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. A lot of what we're taught isn't right or doesn't seem right.
And if you get call it out, you know, gets people mad.
Dude, like, well, I mean, like even as recent, not like literally, but pretty recent, like Christopher Columbus on the grand scale of time, that was pretty recent. We weren't taught that that guy was a piece of shit and that his crew raped people and cut off people's arms and killed babies. Like that all, like that's a factual account that came from the priest that was on board with them. I forget his name, but like this dude had like a fucking diary. He was a priest that was on board with Columbus and his crew, and you know he had a whole diary of this stuff, and it's like accounts like for shit like that. Like Christopher Columbus was a piece of shit. That guy was an asshole.
You kind of got to be cut out for C though.
Is that kind of evidence that we were being lied to anyways when we
Absolutely.
were told that Christopher Columbus founded?
Well, it was taught.
He didn't even land
school,
here.
so.
He landed in like fucking Hawaii or something, like the
Right.
Plymouth Rock. He didn't really land there. Like he's not the one that found Plymouth Rock.
No.
That was I think it's theorized that it was a Spanish explorers that found it originally.
He saw the haka and he turned and ran.
Again, Google this shit, people.
Chances are that's true that they found it first.
I thought he landed in, well, there's Roanoke, so I think he landed more in
The
Virginia.
town that does.
But kind of look like convicts. They got some type of a dress or a attire on. Let's say you put a hat on them with a buckle on it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Quakers. You know what I mean? The people that camp Puritans.
Yep.
Yeah.
They came over. So the beginning of this movie, right, is these people dressed like that, and they're getting ridiculed. They're getting rotten tomatoes thrown at them, and they're on a pier, right? They get on a boat, and as that boat's going away, and people are still yelling and heckling, it says the Mayflower on it. I believe that, or I shouldn't say I believe, but the British, they established a penal colony in Australia. Why didn't they do it here? Get rid of your undesirables. Religion that was there, so they came here. But if you think about it, that could just be a narrative.
Be right back, guys.